It's a great day to be alive. My name is George Essien and welcome to Public Speaking School. We will be talking about a very important subject today, and that subject is how to interest any audience. As a speaker, one of the things you notice is that you have to stand before audiences, and the challenge of the speaker, aside analyzing the audience, is engaging them and making sure that they are interested. So we'll go quickly into the step-by-step process. A few things you can quickly do that will enable you interest your audience. Now, this is very important. Speeches are important, but speeches are made better and made more impressionable when you use pictures. Pictures are powerful. Pictures speak 1,000 words. Now, if pictures speak 1,000 words, moving pictures speak 10,000 words. What do I mean moving pictures? Videos, animations, things people can see that literally move. Because you see, the audio visual, when you compare audio and visual gains preeminence. Visual, people don't forget what they see. They may forget what they hear, but they will not forget what they see. It makes huge and massive impression, especially when those pictures are moving. So if a picture speaks 1,000 words and moving picture speaks 10,000 words, now actual props, what I mean by props, a property, maybe that thing, let me give you an example. So you have a camera, people see a camera, you're trying to explain the use of a Canon camera, and you show them on the slide, that will speak 1,000 words. Now, you actually do a 3D animation of that same camera on your slides, like a video slide, and that will do 10,000 impressions in the minds of people. If you actually hold a camera in your hand, that camera in your hand, that will do 100,000 impressions because you're actually holding your hands. Now, if you are the camera yourself, that will also make 1,000,000 impressions. So when you are the speaking prop, you make 1,000,000 impressions. When you hold the speaking prop, you're doing 100,000 impressions, and you have it on slides moving, you're doing 10,000. If it's just a still picture, then you're doing 1,000 impressions or 1,000 words. Pictures are powerful, and if you can, as a speaker, make sure that you use pictures. Make sure that you use slides. Make sure you use slides. Make sure you use pictures to help people get more, acquainted, and get people to be excited and to be engaged. Use pictures to engage audiences. Use lovely pictures. I know of somebody called a senior colleague in the business, in speaking business, Fela Durotoye, who has very strong and compelling slides. Very strong and compelling slides. So if you're taking any down any notes, one way to engage and interest audiences is to use very graphical, very impressionable pictures. Moving pictures, actual props, you being the prop, will make an impression and will interest audiences. Another very interesting thing to do in order to engage audiences is to share interesting facts and figures. Share interesting facts and figures. I'll give you a website to go visit. This website will give you very interesting, unique facts and figures. For example, that website is www.list25.com. Lists25.com. www.lists25 list25.com. It will give you a lot of 25 things that happened in the world, in different areas, in history, in anatomy, virtually everything. Very interesting things. You can find very interesting facts about that. So I got some very interesting facts about a set of people called savants. SAVANT. I'm sure a lot of you don't know who savants are. Now, savants are people who look like imbeciles but are quite intelligent. They are super intelligent. They have super extraordinary abilities, and we have a limited number in the world. Research has it that we have close to maybe 23 of them. Some of them are born with it. A lot of them are born with it. Some others actually acquired it over time. And savants they look like imbeciles, but they are extremely very intelligent people. One example of a savant, SAVANT, is Orlando Searle. Orlando Searle used to be a young guy And then one of those days he was playing baseball. Someone threw a baseball on his head and he fell down. He was hospitalized for 4 days. When he woke up from the hospital, he could literally remember things. He could remember things at such a sharp level. He could remember dates, times, seasons. It seemed as though his genius was activated just because that ball was hit on his head. And he became an extraordinary, intelligent person. Orlando Searle is an acquired savant. Another man that is also an acquired savant, someone who was born as a savant, is Rudiger Gamm. Rudiger Gamm is a German who can speak German and English language fluently backwards. He can speak these two languages backwards. And interesting thing about him is that he has the ability to do complex calculations. Give him any figure, he will do it at the shortest possible time without writing, just with his head. His name is Rudiger Gamm, and he's one of the 23 savants that we have in our world. The last savant I want to talk about is Stephen Wiltshire. Stephen Wiltshire is an American who is been called the human camera. He can look at your face and then in a few seconds actually recreate it, draw it exactly as he saw it that first time in a few seconds. He can look at complex landscapes or complicated landscapes in a few seconds and then just go to a piece of paper and actually draw exactly what he's saying. So he literally captures pictures, puts them at the back of his head, and he can draw those things. These are powerful savants. And I mean, I got to find that out from list25.com, and I share that. Usually, I use that to share about the fact that we humans have amazing abilities that we do not know. The number of incapacitated individuals in our world is actually infinitesimal. The number of people who cannot be somebody, worthwhile is actually very limited. You have genius on your inside, you have greatness on your inside, and there are people who have extraordinary abilities. So I use that a lot. I use that example, those facts about savants to teach about the fact that there's greatness, there's genius on your inside. One way to interest audiences is to look out for interesting facts, interesting things like that. Like, for example, do you know that there is a sea in our world that does not allow you sink? There is a sea in our world, and people who are tourists go there. So there's a sea in our world that does not allow you sink. You can actually float on that water, and it's amazing. You can float on that water. It's called the Dead Sea. You can literally put egg in that water, and it will, in 5 minutes, it will cake. It's not hot, but it is sea that people visit, and it actually doesn't allow you to sink. So the second thing to do to interest any audience is to share interesting facts. Carl Bushner once said that they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Your job as a speaker is to give people an experience of you. They don't just want to hear you, they want to experience you. How do you interest audiences? It's important that you take this note, that one way to interest an audience is to first be interested. For you to be interesting, for you to be an interesting conversationalist, you want to first be interested in the audience, in what they want to hear, their familiarity with the subject, so that you know how best to engage them. John Maxwell says that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. This is very important. Another thing that you need to pay attention to as you engage audiences is to realize that for you to be successful as a speaker and to be an interesting speaker, you need to tell stories. And I'm going to wrap it up there. Learn to tell fantastic stories. Learn to tell stories. Stories are the currencies of every human contact. People again may forget what you have said to them, but they will not forget the stories you told them, because stories engage our imagination and stories also engage our emotions. So learn to use stories to engage audiences. This is very, very important. How do you tell a story? Every story you tell must have 5 elements. I have a YouTube video that I put together. I'm going to share with you. If you request for it on the message section, I'm going to send that link to you where you can watch how to tell a good story as a speaker. as a speaker, as you stand on stage, as you stand on the podium, what to do and what to really do in telling a good story. I'll just list out those things for you, and you can listen to that, watch that video, and get to know how to tell a good story. First of all, even if you're speaking, your story should have character, your story should have dialogue, your story should have drama, your story should have suspense, and your story should have punchline. These 5 things are quite important. What do I mean by punchline? The story should have a point. At the end of the day, as you tell that story, why tell the story if you're not leading them to a point? If you're using a story to open your presentation, make sure that your story is leading them to your first point. If you're closing your presentation and you want to use a story, make sure that the story you're telling at the end totally encapsulates all that you've been saying. So using stories is fantastic. It will really engage your audience and it will help you. So I'll see you some other time. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. God bless you, and God bless you with God.